Okay, here we are at day 5 of How Do Toasters Work. This is a review for the test that we're going to have tomorrow. And letter A tells us to use the words in the box to complete the sentences. And what I want us to notice about these words is that they are vocabulary words, so we need to be aware of what each of them means. Switch, circuit, resistor, radiate, conductor, filaments, and electric current. So let's take a look at what that looks like with some fill in the blank using these words. There we go. Number 1, the lever on a toaster is a blank that completes the blank and allows blank to flow through it. Okay. Now remember, we don't have to fill these in order. If there's one that we know or we think is fairly obvious, and I think that third one really jumps out to me, allows blank to flow to flow through it. And we talked about the flowing of electricity, and that is like a river flowing down the stream, so that is the electric current. Okay, so the lever on a toaster is a blank that completes the blank and allows electric current to flow through it. The lever on a toaster, the lever would be a switch. Okay, switch. And a switch is something that stops and starts the flow of electricity. It interrupts it. It breaks the circuit so that electricity cannot flow through when it is off. And it completes the circuit. Okay, there we go. When electricity is flowing through it. And we talked about a circuit being like a circle or the loop that electricity flows through. Okay, let's continue with number 2. A blank is good at conducting electricity, while a blank limits the flow of electricity. And we talked again about a conductor is good at conducting electricity. Conductor, conducting. While a blank limits the flow of electric current. And we talked about a resistor limiting the flow or resisting the electricity being able to go through it. And lastly, the blank in a toaster becomes hot and blank heat energy. And we talked about let's go down here and take a look. The filaments being the wires that run through the electric toaster. And once they have gotten hot, they radiate heat energy. And we talked about how when we radiate heat energy, just like the sun radiates its heat to the earth, it transfers through the air that heat energy onto the bread, thereby making the toast. And here we are at question B. Look at the diagram, label the switch and filaments. Now when they're asking us to label something, we need to make sure that we clearly put the switch being the lever, and we just had that earlier, so I'm going to draw a line and an arrow right to the lever. That is the switch. Okay, so I've clearly labeled my switch. And the filaments, and we talked about the filaments being the wires that run through the toaster. Okay, so I'm just going to put my arrow right to the tip of the wire, and that is the filaments. Then, okay, so we're not done yet. Then draw the path that the electric current travels through the toaster. Okay, so what happens is the electric current is going in through the power cord. It goes up and continues to run through the filaments, heating up as it goes, and eventually it will go out. Okay, because these wires in the electric cord, there's not just one of them, but there are two wires, one allowing the electric current to come in, run through the toaster, and the other returning it to the switch. Okay, so now we have completed the second part. Draw the path of the electric current that travels through the toaster. So let's go on to section C. When people iron, they make sure to move the iron constantly around the cloth. Why is this important? Okay, so for those of you who've been around an iron, you should have some background information that would help you to answer this question, but in case there are some who have not, I've been around an iron, and I know that when those irons are on, the bottom of the iron gets very, very hot. So hot that I wouldn't want to touch it. As I get close to it, I can feel the heat radiating off the bottom of the iron. And so I want you to imagine what might happen to a piece of fabric or a cloth if we were taking that iron, placing it on the cloth, and then leaving it in one place for a long time. Okay, so think about those things, and then ask yourself the question, why is it important to move the iron constantly around the cloth? When you are done, we will collect these.